Hello everyone, Joe here, and one of the things that if you watch my channel you know that I love is board games. However, some of you may not know that I also love old computer adventure games like Zork and King's Quest and those sorts of things. So how excited was I to learn that there is a board game based on Adventure or Colossal Cave, the very first text-based adventure game, arguably. And this was a Kickstarter game that came out a few years ago. I did not find out about it until the Kickstarter had already ended. So I found a used copy on one of the Facebook marketplace groups, and I ordered it, and it's pretty neat. I kind of like it. So let's take a look at the board here. And I'm going to assume for the purposes of this game that you are familiar with Adventure or Colossal Cave. So we may have a couple of spoilers here, but see, it's a very small board, 4 little panels about the size of 4 large postcards. And it has many of the game's iconic locations, the maze of twisty passages all alike, Hall of the Mountain King, the Well House, the Y2 Room, Volcano View, Bed Quilts, all places from the game. And so if we take a look here to see what we get, the game the game came as itself, and then you could also get an expansion, which would add additional complexity to the game. Just like the real adventure game, Adventure, there are several different versions, some of which are longer than others. So you can add the extra complexity if you want to. So that came with the game when I bought it. So there's the special rules just for the expansion, and I haven't played the expansion yet, so I can't tell you too much about it. But, all right, the base game, you can play 3 to 4 players. You cannot play with less than 3, apparently. And if you add the expansion, you can then play up to 6. But each player chooses their color, and I love the shape. It's a little person holding the brass lantern, which is very nostalgic for me if you like games where you explore caves. This is a token that indicates light. So when this is on the board, it indicates your location has light, which is important, as we'll see as we play. And these are the cards. And I'm not going to go through a complete playthrough or anything like that because A, I've only just kind of learned the game, and B, I don't have 2 other people to play with. But the way it works is as you play, as you go through the locations, you draw cards looking for treasures. You can find treasures, events, or I think reactions. Yes, treasure cards, action cards, and reaction cards. So when you draw a card and something happens, like, for example, you might find the brass lantern. And if you find it, you can play it in the Well House, which is here. Your current location is always brightly lit. So wherever you go, it's like you have that little yellow token on the board if you're carrying the brass lantern. You may also find the wicker cage. You can play this in the Cobble Cave, which is exactly where you find it in the computer game. When you play this card, you may acquire the little bird, unless you're also carrying the black rod. And that is so great, the detail here, because in the adventure game, when you enter the Cobble Crawl, you will find a bird there. And if you have the wicker cage, you can catch the bird, unless you are carrying the black rod, because the bird is afraid of the black rod. So if you try to catch the bird when you hold the black rod, you can't. And I love that they captured that in the board game. So very neat. And all sorts of other items you could find. Friendly bear, one of my favorites. You can find jewels. Of course, the object of the game is to find the jewels and escape with as many as you can. Here are some of the events that can happen to you. The grate is locked. A huge green fierce snake bars the way. All taken right out of the game. Lost in the maze. Okay, and there was a great one I found earlier that I was just looking at. You are carrying too much already. The cave is closing. Let's do that again. All right, so I want to find the one I looked at earlier. Yeah, this is nasty. Suppose you draw this. Bottomless pit. You fell into a pit and broke every bone in your body. Choose a player who is currently in darkness. That player dies. straight out of the game, nasty. Nasty. That's why you always want to be somewhere that has light. And we'll take a quick look here just through the manual. It's very short. It's very easy to understand. And so each player can have inventory that is unique from each other player. It is a competitive game. You do work to beat everyone else, and I typically like games where you work together. That's my preference, but every now and then a good competitive game is fun too. So it explains rules about what happens if you get killed. You remove your player token from the board, you discard your whole hand, and you discard your carried treasures. Do not discard your carried non-treasure items, and do not discard the face-down treasures you've already deposited in the well house. So yeah, when you find treasures, you have to run and drop them in the well house to get credit for them. Okay, and winning the game. Okay, so to win the game, the first player to deposit 3 treasures in the well house wins the game. And then there's some frequently asked questions here, which I'll save those for you. And then just for a quick second, let's take a look at the expansion, which I really haven't looked at much. So, all right, and this is just a one-page info sheet. So it looks like we get new locations. This expansion adds a 5th type of card, the location. There are only 3 locations in the deck: Lava Beach, the Ice Caverns, and the Valley of Stone Faces. These cards are shuffled into the deck, drawn, and played as usual. Okay. When you add a location to the board, the first adventurer to discover the new room can warp immediately to the new room or draw another card and play a card. All right. So it just looks like it adds, more of the same, more locations, probably some more treasures. There's a separate deck. Here it is for location. It's not as big as the first, but let's kind of see what kind of stuff is included. Yep, new events, nasty looking ogres. I don't know how to do that, which is kind of the default error message in the computer game when you type in something it doesn't understand. Green slime, gooseberry goblins. Here is one of those locations. Singing sword, small mushroom. Nice. So there aren't too many board games that I know of that are based on the old text adventure, graphic adventure games. I've always thought Zork would be a really cool board game. And I'm sure many others, many Sierra games could be. And I would love a Maniac Mansion game. That seems perfect. A Sam & Max game, anything like that. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to show this off. I thought this might be of interest to people, not just who typically like board games or computer games, but who have an interest in both like I do. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you have not already done so, and I'll be back with you soon.